And then efficiency and honesty of the judiciary, not just the honesty, but also the efficiency. People, court cases or cases taken to the judicial system is a long delay. The problem is that people might say, you know, it's not worth it, just walk away. And notice that second bullet. A strong legal system mitigates agency problems because self-interested managers know legal actions will be punished. Think of it as citizenry, self-interested citizens or illegal citizens, or illegal actions will be punished. So in other words, incentive must be both on the upside and downside. If good decisions are made, companies will prosper, people will prosper. But if bad decisions are made, and corrupt or illegal activity is undertaken. And people must know that there is a very high certainty and a very severe penalty on the downside as well. So people must be motivated by the upside as well as the downside. Reliability of accounting standards. Give investors confidence that financial reports are correct. What use are accounting information or is accounting information if reports are made, that accounting annual reports that are yearly really are history, they're not information, they're just data of the past. And if they're inaccurate, or if people don't have confidence that they're accurate, the question is, what credibility do they have to people? If accounting standards are compromised, manipulated, or lack transparency, investment institutions will suffer. Oversight of management will suffer. And management incentives will be inappropriate. Okay? So, for example, the red box at the bottom, companies that adopt international standards receive an accounting premium from investors. In other words, if the accounting standards are adopted or of an international nature, international accounting standards, for example, and people are confident that they'll be implemented accurately and promptly. Basically, people feel less risk, faster capital decline. So, accounting information and accounting standards are important. Any questions so far? Okay. Enforcement of regulations. Even if the legal system is strong, officials must be willing to enforce regulations and the law. So good laws are useless unless good laws are enforced. Regulatory enforcement signals that management is being monitored, which contributes to investor confidence that their interests will be protected. In other words, investors want to know that the legal system and the regulators, the laws and the regulations will be enforced promptly and surely. This is probably the main factor for the variety of governance systems. Okay. Managerial behavior is influenced by the society in which the company operates. This is an even more complex way to talk about a globalized world with companies that operate in more than one jurisdiction, more than one nation, more than one culture and society. Activities that are acceptable in one culture may be unacceptable in another. We know that we see different countries from our perspective and we say, no, we don't agree with that, or we agree with that. But we're looking at it from the perspective of our own societal and cultural values. I guess others are doing the same with us. Okay, so executives, and this is an interesting one, executives in a country that values individualism may be more likely to take self-interested actions than executives in a country that values collectivism, because they do not risk the same level of scorn for their behavior. So social pressure can be important in determining behavior. And societal values, you want to take note of this, will also influence whether the company takes a more shareholder-centric, that is, such as the Anglo-American view, where there's a shareholder priority, or a stakeholder-centric, which is less focused on just one stakeholder, that is the shareholder, but on the rights and responsibilities of all the various stakeholders. Any questions at this stage? Here we're going to go on to, if you want to say, let's go back. The next, most of the rest of this document deals with different, if you want to say, the main material differences or drivers or variables that differentiate different corporate governance systems. And we'll start the US. Large and liquid capital markets. US is one of the large US, especially out of New York, but also Chicago, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., for the US market. Large and liquid capital markets. An active market for corporate control, that is for the takeover market. The takeover market is very active and alive. Even though it goes in cycles, the takeover market, the market for corporate control, is important in the US to discipline managers. This is the last of these corporate governance PDFs from Stanford. Investors' interest protected by the SEC. Accounting standards required by the professional body. Have they taken over international standards yet, or are they still on the FASB? Governance standards established by exchanges and legislation. The most famous, which is the Sarbanes-Oxley, as a result of the Exxon debacle of 10 years ago. And note that this US is more focused on the shareholders, more shareholder-centric, shareholder priority, less than many other parts of the world where the stakeholder is more stakeholder-centric, but the US is mainly shareholder-centric. So, large and liquid capital markets, SEC fairly active and generally very effective. Accounting standards defined by a professional body, although we know in the last 10 years there have been issues over accounting restatements. Governance standards established by exchanges and legislation. Shareholder-centric. You could add with something here, fairly widely dispersed ownership of publicly listed firms. In other words, not as much concentrated ownership in the US companies as they are in other parts of the world. United Kingdom, similar to the US, United States, the Anglo-American model or the Anglo-Saxon model. They have our tradition of some of the governance standards of boards are more similar to the UK than to the US. So for example, whereas in the US often the chairman and the CEO are one and the same, in the UK they're separate, which tends to be the case in Jamaica. They have a senior independent director in terms of in the revised combined code in the UK. Independent board and committees, where we want to have a number of independent board members, not just outsiders, outside board member, outside the rest who is not a company executive or company manager, might still have an interest and alignment with company management. But they want independent board members, outsiders who take an independent stance, and they have lots of committees. Boards, directors, and committees subject to annual review. Emphasis on transparency of procedures and decisions, and mainly sound internal controls. And now this is the last bullet at the bottom. Companies are required to disclose reasons for non-compliance with these standards. In other words, comply or explain. So if you comply, fine. If you don't comply, you have to give a reason why you don't comply. This also tends to be a little more similar to the US, more shareholder-centric, that's in the UK. A lot also fairly wide ownership in terms of share ownership. Any questions or any points you want to bring up yet? No? Yes? Okay. Germany, now here we're getting to continental Europe, which is more stakeholder-centric. And here we have in Germany we have a two-tiered board structure. A management board that runs the company. It's like, what do you say, the operating board. And the supervisory board, which oversees the company, is like a fiduciary responsibility and oversight. And the supervisory board appoints members to the management board. Up to 50% of the supervisory board are labor representatives, and they can include the founding family members of companies, financial institutions, retired management, and so forth. So in other words, you're talking about your operating board, which is the management board, and the supervisory board is the oversight, fiduciary, focus on the board. Dual board, two-tiered board structure. This is a legal requirement, and therefore, with large and traditional entities and groups involved, such as financial institutions and founding families, public shareholder voting rights are somewhat limited. So in effect, what we're having here is less shareholder focus in terms of the minority shareholder rights, but more focused by various interest groups, labor, financial institutions, retired management, and so forth. This is the third one. It was very different from the Anglo-American model. Japan. You've probably heard of the Kiratsu. At the top, you can see it on top right there. Cross ownership among customers, suppliers, affiliates, and financiers. So you not only have groups, but you have cross relationships between groups. And system encourages business relations and cooperations towards shared objectives. I think this with the recent response of the Japanese to the Fukushima earthquake, power plant from the earthquake and the tsunami. You even have people who are retired nuclear facility workers coming out to work, willing to do it, volunteer to do it. You can see that this is more sort of consensus, cooperative type of society. Here is societal